Welcome back to Grit Gym, guys. Welcome back to Grit Gym. Today we're talking about reps and sets, and are high reps better or are low reps better? How to set up your sets and reps. By the time we're done with this, you're going to be dizzy, overwhelmed, overloaded with information on how to actually run your sets and rep schemes when you're doing your workouts. So let's jump into it. I'm going to grab a pen here real quick or a pen that actually works here, so that I can take little notes as I go along with you too, because every time that I do one of these videos, I usually figure out better ways to communicate what I'm trying to say. So before we get into this, make sure to slap the like button. Tell everybody that you know that this podcast or this show or whatever it is that is going on. If you want to learn more about exercise, nutrition, mindset, recovery, jump on the show. If you want to learn more about health, because health is your number one resource in life. You only get so much of it. You know, at some point our bodies are going to start to break down, and we want to delay that as far as possible by putting as much life into the years that we do have as we possibly can, because everything is about the experience that we have right now. So please slap that share button and tell everybody that you know about it. And if you're on Instagram, please screenshot this and then post it into your story and tell people what you thought of the show. So before we get going, also, I want to remind you about these two signs behind me. These are up in the gym. These are just something that if these things happen, you and I are going to get along extremely well, and because we're going to have a certain understanding of each other, you know, that we're both coming from the same place, that we care enough to say certain things and to be there for each other, even if sometimes it comes across not so much. So the first one is to work hard to improve. That's over here. This is apparently mirrored. So the first one is to work hard to improve every day. So no matter what, if you work hard to improve every day, you will make progress. Number two is to focus on the present priority. Make sure that you are doing that every single day. It's really easy. I totally understand that life gets in the way. You know, you got kids, you got a spouse, you got a job that might not be everything that you wanted it to be. Your relationship is not always going to be where you want it to be. Your money's not going to be always right where you want it to be. Maybe time has gotten away from you a little bit. You're not just being a commander of your time. When you get to the gym, or you get here, or you get wherever you are, ask yourself where you are and then be all there. Find that priority. And if it's right now, if it's this show right now, then please make this your priority. For me right now, you are the only thing that exists in my world. So you're the most important thing because you're right here and you're right now. So I have to focus on this as my present priority. There's 1,000 other things that I could use to go to that not good enough space, but I can't, and neither can you. Two fingers there. And then the third one is to be a positive influence. When you are a positive influence, you bring other people into your circle that can help you out and get you to where you want to go, and you end up helping them out. It's a cooperative effort when you are a positive influence. When you're a negative influence, you gain a bunch of people that are going to try to keep you back to where you were. Okay, misery loves company, and you're just going to get in with a bunch of miserable people, and they want to keep you down, and they want them to keep them down, and they want help doing so, and they're going to take you there. So, and if you're negative, you end up pushing away all the people that could have helped you. So make sure you're a positive influence to those around you, and plus the people who want to help you out. There are people that want to help you out. There are people that want to give new perspectives. There are people like that deeply really do care, and it's natural bias to not really want to help someone that's not fun to work with. So make sure that you're doing the best that you possibly can to be a positive influence to those around you, to focus on the present priority, and to work hard to improve every day. And I think the number one way that you do that is by going off of this sign, mirrors. This sign over here, are you going to be all in? Or are you going to be afraid that you're not enough today? Those are two questions that come down to all of us. And the default is always going to be that we're afraid that we're not enough. But you are enough to do your absolute gut-wrenching best. And your absolute gut-wrenching best might not be everything that it takes to win the day or to do whatever you're trying to accomplish, but are you more or less likely to accomplish what you set out to do if you do your absolute gut-wrenching best? Not the bullshit absolute best that like the teachers were expected and were happy with, but your absolute gut-wrenching best. If you can do those things, we are going to get along great, and you're going to get along great in life. and that's how you're going to make progress. There's no way that you cannot succeed if you keep getting backwards. Did it again. This one. If you work hard to improve every day, you focus on the present priority, and you be a positive influence to those around you, there's no possible way that you cannot succeed. You will succeed inevitably at some point. John Wooden, one of the greatest coaches, probably, in my opinion, the greatest coach that ever lived, or the greatest coach on record that ever lived, he said, players with fight do not ever lose a game. He said, they just run out of time. So players with fight do not ever lose a game. They just run out of time. And the time is one of those interesting things. People ask me all the time, like recently anyway, not all the time. Recently, people have been asking me, how do you find the time? Like, you run a business, and you're trying to do the online stuff, and you still train, and you do this. How do you find the time? Well, for one, there's certain things that you have that I probably don't have. Like, for one, you probably got a couple kids. I don't have kids, and you've got a different style job than I do, so it allows me. But also, I don't spend like 5 hours preparing for these talks. There's no way I couldn't do it. There'd be no time to do that. And one of the things that reminded me when I was sketching out and preparing for this one was there was a public speaking course I took one time, and the guy got up there and he told the story about a doctor who had worked for a professional baseball team, and at the end of the season they had less injuries. They had way less injuries. They were all more healthy. Like, they had done a really good thing for this team, and at the banquet or whatever it was, the meeting, they all started cheering for him. They asked him to come up on stage, and he froze. He was so terrified of public speaking that he couldn't do it, and he froze out, and he went back and walked out of the room while they're all cheering for him. He was so embarrassed, went and took a public speaking course, and then the next year did the same job that he did again, and the next year got up and delivered an awesome speech. He got a standing ovation for it, and it was really good for him. Now, the thing that's weird about that is it wasn't a lack of education, and it wasn't a lack of preparation. He had been preparing to be a doctor for an extremely long period of time. He had been practicing as a doctor for an extremely long period of time. What was the difference? So he was just scared of public speaking, and that's one of those things that I had to get over too. It's not a comfortable thing. So if you're looking for excuses to why you can't do things, realize there's people all around you that look the same, that look similar to you, that have just as many cards stacked against them as you do, that have similar sob stories or whatever it is, excuses, that are winning with a hand that's similar to yours or worse than yours. So you can do it too. What I'm trying to say, though, is I don't spend a lot of time doing it because I've been preparing for this for 20 years. I still got my first conditioning book when I was and it was in 1997. It was in 1997, and part of the reason I really like that story. My grandma turned 97 yesterday, and she was the one that gave me my first strength and conditioning book. She was the one that gave me like my first 4 strength and conditioning books. I think she noticed something, but kind of just like a cute story. But I've been preparing for this for a long time, so when I talk about this stuff, I just happen to have studied this stuff for long enough now that I have a pretty decent understanding of it. So that's what you guys are getting when you come to the show. You're getting a perspective for somebody that's been a practitioner for 10 years and studied it obsessively for 10 years before that. So let's get into it. What are the best set and rep schemes is basically what we're going to go over, because is high reps, is low reps, or are high reps better than low reps? Are low reps better than high reps? Is one better for tone? Is one better for strength? Is one better for muscle gain? And the thing is, you've been led to believe that a lot of bogus stuff. It is not accurate to say that strength training causes muscle gain in general. This is one of the biggest misconceptions, the biggest lies that is told in the fitness industry. Strength training does not cause muscle growth. It doesn't. You cannot find anything that strength training causes muscle growth. Food causes growth. Food does. Strength training might be a catalyst for such growth, but it doesn't actually cause it. Food does. And the time spent in recovery when the body is using that food to grow that muscle. So you do not actually gain muscle in the weight room. You do not gain muscle while you're strength training. You do not gain, you don't even gain strength there. You do get strength out of it, and you can get muscle gain out of it, but you only get muscle gain if you eat for it So you have to eat a surplus of calories. You have to eat tons and tons of food to get your muscle to grow. It is not a guarantee that your muscle is going to grow just because you went to the weight room. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to get stronger either. You have to apply certain strength training methods or you're going to get yourself injured. One, that's the biggest thing about strength conditioning, that people do get injured. And a lot of it's because you're given a chainsaw to a 5-year-old. Like or to someone that doesn't know how to use a chainsaw. They're going to get hurt. They might not chop their leg off, but they're going to give a good gash, or the tree's going to fall on top of them. Something bad is going to happen because they didn't have the education necessary to use what is in the weight room. And you can get away with a lot of stuff, but eventually it's going to come to haunt you. So what are the best set and rep schemes? Well, there are things like the 5x5 system gets really hated on. However, it works. The 5x5 system works. You want to do 5 sets of 5 on bench press, 5 sets of 5 on deadlift, 5 sets of 5 on squats. As long as you're using the right squat pattern, you're using the right deadlift, and you're using the right bench press. If you wanted to be safe in this atmosphere for those 3 lifts, if you want to be safe, don't use a barbell. I know. I shouldn't say don't use a barbell. Don't go conventional deadlift. Do go sumo or trap bar. And if you're using, if you're doing bench press, go 2 dumbbell. It's much safer. You get more out of it anyway. You get a lot more out of a 2 dumbbell bench press than you will ever get out of a barbell bench press. You'll get more muscle activation. You'll get more work done. You'll get more fatigue. Your stabilizers will have to work harder. You'll have less unilateral imbalance. Your body will have to engage in a way you won't be able to. It'll have to engage. How do I explain this? So it's self-limiting exercise. So you will only be able to use a certain amount of weight before your body breaks down and you get injured. So it is extremely important to realize that some lifts are better than others. Just because it's a barbell and you can use more weight doesn't mean that you should. And when it comes to squats, a goblet squat and a front squat are always going to be prerequisites. They're always going to be prerequisites to the back squat. You're always going to start with a goblet squat unless someone's super strong. You're going to start with a front squat before they go to a back squat. You're just always going to do it. It's your body catches on to it a lot faster, and you're going to get more out of it in a lot of different ways. Now, are they different lifts? Do they have different purposes? Yeah, sure. And am I going to get some hate on that from the strength conditioning community? Yeah, but in 5 years, they're all going to agree with me. Now, so we went over 5x5. 5x5 just means that you're going to do 5 sets of 5 repetitions. So you might do, let's say you have a 200 pound, I might need a calculator for this. I'm not a huge fan of working off of percentages, but until you develop a relationship with your body where you know what a certain weight feels like, when to back off, when to push forward, using percentages is a very good way to give yourself a guide. So 5 reps is going to be about 80 to 85% of your 1 rep max. So if you can do a 200-pound 1 rep max, let's say, even if it's a calculated 1 rep max, we know that for 5 reps, you're going to do about 170 pounds is about the max weight that you're possibly going to want to do. So if you're doing a 5x5, do you want to go 135, 155, 165, 170, 170? No, probably not, because that's going to be 2 max out sets. And depending on what week of your program you're in, you would not want to do that. If you're in your last week, maybe you do that because you're trying to really push out the max, but you already maxed out right before that. So why would you do it again? So that would be a poor way to do it. What you would do is you might go 135, 145, 155, 155, because then you're working a sub-maximal load. So your body is learning what to do with that weight before you jump up and try to just burn your body out. This concept that I'm talking about right now is the biggest misunderstood thing in all of strength and conditioning. All of strength and conditioning right now in its current state does not understand that submaximal loads work better than maxing out every day. You want your bench press to go up, you have to back off on weight by at least 20 to 50% of your 1 rep max. So if you can bench 400 pounds, you should be spending the majority of your time between 200 and 300 pounds, not above 300 pounds. I don't know if this makes sense to most people, but you have to back off weight in order to go forward. What are some other set schemes? Because I need to start actually getting on what we were supposed to be talking about today. So there's 5x5, there's 3x5. One that I really like is doing a four sets of 2 reps followed by 1 set of 5. So you work up to a certain weight and then you hit 5 so you don't fatigue out while you're doing your sets. You fatigue out on your last set and you get kind of a sub-maximal load with that 5 reps. So if you can bench 200 pounds for 1 rep, that means you can do about 170 for 5 reps. So we might go 135, 145, 155 for our 4th set, and then we might go for our 3rd set, and then 160 or 165 for our 5th set of 2, and then 1 more set at 165 for 5. So we're getting kind of a sub-maximal load because we didn't fatigue out before we got there. So that's one that I really like to do. You can do a 5x1 with a 1+. So at the end, so you do 4 sets of 1 rep. So you're just kind of accommodating the weight. So you're getting accustomed to the weight. So you bench or you squat or whatever, and then you rack that weight, and you bench, and you do it again, and you do it again for 4 sets, and then your last set, you're just going to do as many as you possibly can. This works really well for a final week of your program. So if you've done 4 weeks of a program, so you've done squats on Monday, week 1, Monday, week 2, Monday, week 3, and you work that sub-maximal load where you're going on a lot less, so you're going maybe 80%, 83%, 86%, and then on your last week, you're going to really blow this up. I'm going to really try to lift heavy. Well, don't try to lift heavy. Pick out a weight that you can do. So now let's say we're going to go up to 89%. We're just going to do that 1+. 89%, you should probably do that about 4 times. So at 89%, you're going to just rep out. So you might get 3, you might get 6 on that day, but you did 1, became accustomed to the weight as you went along, and then you went ahead and just went for all the reps that you possibly could. That's an easy way to max out, but you do not max out on I cannot emphasize this enough, do not max out every time you walk into the gym. This is a really good way to get injured, and it's a really good way to stop your progress. And you're not going to stop your progress before you get injured. You're probably going to stop your progress first, and then you're just going to keep on trying to push through by maxing out more and more and more, and your body's going to eventually shut down. It's going to shut you down by getting hurt. You can do a 3x3 with a +3 at the end. So you go 3, 3, 3, 3 for 4 sets, and your 5th set you do 3+. You can follow the 3-2 the 3-2-1 method, where you do 3 sets of 3, 3 sets of 2, 3 sets of 1, and then you start over. So week 1 you do 3 sets of 3, week 2 you do 3 sets of 2, week 3 you do 3 sets of 1. Start back over, or perform a deload a week and go back to 3 sets of 3. This is a really good way to do it. There's also 5-3-1 follows this same principle. I almost forgot about this. 5-3-1, so you do 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 3, 5 sets of 1. That's your 3 weeks. So week 1 you do 5 sets of 5. Week 2 you do 5 sets of 3. Week 3 you do 5 sets of 1. So that's like your max out, right? And you start back over at week 1, or you do a deload set. What about time sets? I really like time sets. Time sets are one of my favorite things to do. I love doing them with people. People really like them. They're a different way to work your program. They're extremely effective. They're really, really good for you. I cannot go over time sets enough. Logistically, they're kind of hard for what I do, but if you're just a person that is going, like you have your iPad on or whatever, you can set timers in there, and you can have, I don't think anybody uses an iPad or an iPod anymore, do they? I think everybody just goes off their phones. So there's timer apps, and I'll put in the notes sometime. It's just called Timer App, but there are timer apps out there that you can use to do these, and they're extremely effective. So my favorite is probably just doing an on the minute. They're the most simple one, maybe not my favorite, but the most simple one of a time set is you just go on the minute. So you might do 8 sets of 2 repetitions. It works really well for deadlifts. It works really well for bench press. And squat, and it works for any lift possible. You can do it with chin-ups, but on the minute, you're going to do a certain low number of repetitions, so it allows you to do your sub-maximal loads. So you're pushing fatigue, but you're able to also really drive up the speed that you're able to move the implement. So if you're going to do deadlifts, you might do 8 sets of 2. Like week 1 and week 2, you might do 6 sets of 2. Week 3, you might do 8 sets of 2, and on week 4, you might back it down really hard because you're trying to work your other lifts. You're not trying to max out on your on the minute stuff. That would be really stupid. So you might do 79, like 80. might do 79 and then like 70, 82 and then 85. A certain low percentage of your 1 rep max, and you do that on the minute. So for 8 sets. So it'd take you 8 minutes and you do 2 reps each time that the minute comes up. It's a really good way to blast out your muscles and to change how the stimulus that you're getting from the weights and from lifting. And it's a really good way to really drive your strength levels up. You'll find that if you did that for a month, if you just stopped deadlifting in general and you took 2 days out of the week, let's say you took Monday and Thursday, and you decided on Monday and Thursday you're going to do 8 sets of 2 deadlift, and you're going to keep it below 80% of your 1 rep max. You're going to keep it below, let's say, 50 and 80% of your 1 rep max, and you're going to work in that space. You're on, after that month, if you choose to do that, your numbers are going to, and you just max out on, let's say you do that for 4 weeks, and then on the 5th week, you go ahead and max out, your numbers are going to skyrocket. You're going to blow your old deadlift numbers out of the water because you took the time on the minute. Rest pause sets aren't really things that, I don't love rest pause sets, but I do like them very much, and they're really good for burning out a muscle. So what a rest pause set would be is like you would do 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So let's say you're taking 2 dumbbells, you're just doing as many good reps as you possibly can in a 20-second period, and then you rest for 20 seconds, and you come back and you do it again. You're going to pick up maybe 60% of your 1 rep max, and your first set you might get 12 reps in. Like legit 12 reps. And then you come back up, your last set, and let's say you do 6 sets of that on your last set, you might get in 1 or 2 reps. I mean, it burns you out really, really fast. It's extremely good for you, and it's very effective, especially for causing fatigue. We know that food is what causes the muscle to grow, but fatigue is the catalyst that says, hey, we need some muscle growth, feed us. So if you want the muscle to grow faster, you've got to eat for it, and you've got to train for it, because you've got to give it that stimulus. Rest pause sets are a very good way to give that stimulus for muscle growth. Now, my favorites, this is actually my favorite. I said that on the minute was, but that's wrong. Clusters are my favorite. Clusters are very simple. You might do four clusters of 1 repetition, let's say. So for like a bench press, you would take the bar, you'd take it out, 1 rep, rack it, count to 10, unrack, hit it, rack it, count to 10, right? Did you like those hand motions? So you would do that that would be 1 set. It's 4 clusters of 1 repetition. That's a cluster. Now, why would you do cluster sets? Well, it changes the stimulus to the muscle. Now, I really think the reason that this works is that you're able to work at a little bit of a higher intensity while driving up volume. So for 4 reps at, let's say you're doing 4 clusters of 1, you actually did a total of 4 repetitions per set, right? So that means you're right around that, like somewhere between 85 and 90% of your 1 rep max. Now, if we were just going to do 4 repetitions and then rack it, we would like 100. Let's say it's 90%. Let's say you're one of those people that can pull that off. Well, 90%, and you're a 200-pound bencher. You're a 200-pound bencher, so you're gonna be lifting about 180 pounds for 4 reps. Well, now at 180 pounds for 4 reps is all you could get. Well, with clusters, we can up that to about 185, maybe even 190. So we can get a little bit higher intensity at a higher volume. So it changes the stimulus a little bit because we took that 10 seconds in between each repetition. I hope that makes sense. But also deloads. Deloads are another form of sets and reps, and this is extremely important to have a deload. I think this is something that gets missed. It's becoming a lot more popular now, so this is a really good thing. But you don't just want to just go hard all the time, because you're going to hit that wall. Your body's going to set you down. It's going to have a hard time recovering. And remember, all the magic happens in recovery. You get stronger during the recovery. You gain muscle during the recovery. You lose fat during the recovery. That stuff doesn't happen in the weight room. It happens in the recovery phases. You got to give it the stimulus, but the magic happens while you're recovering. So a deload week is about active recovery. So you would back off to an extremely low amount of weight where it doesn't feel like you're doing much of anything. And we do this the first week of everybody's program so that they can end with a heavier load, and because there's so much explanation up front that it would just be kind of impossible to get. But what is better? I'm way behind in my talk. Maybe we should do this again sometime. But what is better, high rep or low rep? Well, it completely depends on what we're going for. And when I think most people are talking high rep, they're thinking like 5 minutes of squats, which is fucking stupid. Like there's certain things in the strength conditioning. I don't want to say that they're stupid because if you're just ignorant to if you are not educated about the thing, then you're not stupid. You're just not educated. Now this is a topic like 5 minutes of anything, 5 minutes of squats, 5 minutes of that's not being you cannot say that you're not educated at that point. You're just dumb. So like 5 minutes of things like super high rep things where we're working on tone, that's just a sales pitch. That's not real. There's no backing. There's no logic behind that. It does not work. I am not a big fan of high volume in general. So anything over 12 reps, it really has to be subjective to the exercise. Like kettlebell swings, I think you can do for over 12 reps. Glute bridges, I think you can do for over 12 reps. Deadlifts, I think it would be really stupid to try to max out on a over 12 reps. Squats, I think it'd be dumb to go over 8 reps. I think bench press would be dumb to go over 8 reps. And most people would call 10 reps fairly low number in the fitness industry. Okay, I think that your 3s, your 5s, your 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. 12 should kind of be top tier. You're not going to go over 12 very often. If you stay below 12 for most exercises, you're probably going to be better off, especially plyometrics. This is one of the things I see more often than anything is people taking 60 contacts. A contact would be every time that your foot touches the ground. So if you did 10 sets of 6 or 3 sets of 12, that would be 36 contacts. Keep your contacts at the most 30. The most, I'll let someone go up to 24 if we're doing box jumps because it takes so much stress because they're not doing all the way back to the ground. They're landing at the level that they jump to, basically. We're doing box jumps. You can do a little bit more volume. Don't do that. Don't think that you can go to 60 contacts in a plyometric realm. There's too many other things going on in their life. Squatting, ollie lifts, box jumps, any technical exercise, do not do it for time unless it's for a short period of time, a very, very short period of time, like a 10-second deal. If you're able to get up into the world where it's like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, it's too much time. It's too much time. Your sets and reps should take about 5 seconds. If you're doing a true 1 rep max, that one pull, I did a pull one time. It was the first time I ever deadlifted over 500 pounds. And I'm pulling. I have my eyes closed. It's like everything. I'm like, just keep pulling. I would have bet you $1 million that bar was still connected to the ground when and then all of a sudden it was above my knees and I locked it out. And I was like, how'd that happen? It was awesome. However, that I would not be a bit surprised if that whole lift took me 18 seconds. So there are times when you're just going to be pulling for a long period of time. That should be few and far between, though. But remember, muscle gain equals food, strength equals weight. And just because you lift doesn't mean you gain muscle. And the other thing I really want to get across, I know that I'm missing some stuff on here, and we'll revisit this at some point, but you're always going to get a result in the weight room. You're always going to get a result in anything, okay? And anything that you do in life, there's always going to be a result. So make sure it's the result that you want to get. It's got to be leading you somewhere. The strength and conditioning, it's not just about, throw a bunch of shit at your body and see what it comes up with. No, we have to have something. We're coaxing the body along. We're not forcing it into submission. Maxing out every day is forcing your body into submission, and that's really a very dangerous concept in the weight room. It's going to get you hurt. You always get a result, and you want to coax the body along. You want to invite the body into going where you want it to go. If you want to gain muscle, that program is going to look very similar to if you want to gain strength, but it's going to be about your food intake. Put it in your mind that you're always going to get a result. You have to tailor it to that result that you want. Otherwise, you're going to get the result that your body came up with. And sometimes the body's going to come up with an injury. It's going to come up with pain to stop you from doing more damage than you've already done. So in the weight room, make sure that you're using sub-maximal loads at all times so that your body can progress. And when you get to that point, because I'm not a big fan of 1 rep maxes, when you get to that point of wanting to see how much you can do, go for reps. And those reps should probably be below 10. Like if I'm going to do a +3, I'm thinking that they're going to be able to get to 5 or 6. If I'm doing a +1, I'm thinking that they're probably going to be able to get 3 to 5 repetitions of that +1. So I'm going to put a weight on the person's program that is about 80 to 90% of their 1 rep max, or what I think is their 1 rep max. And anytime you're in the weight room, this is how I've always done it, or not always done it, but this is how I do it now, and have done it for a long time with good success. Anytime that you have a number that you're trying to hit, well, you don't always hit that number. Someday, like yesterday was one of those days for me where my body's just torched out. It's tired. Something was going on. Maybe I'm fighting an illness. You don't know. So I'm just not hitting the numbers that I wanted to hit. Now, what you do in that scenario, or on a day where you come in and you're just killing it, you can always go up 10% from what your number is on the sheet that you set, because you have a plan, you have to stick to it, but you can go up 10% or you can go down 30%. Okay, if you go down 30%, that means your body's just torched out. You just need to go through the motions, just give it a little bit and get out. Okay, you got to do a lot less intensity, a lot less volume to be able to give your body the result that it needs, right? And if you're feeling awesome, go up 10%. But if it's week 1 and you're feeling awesome and you got 3 weeks left of your program, let that build. Let that build in that last week. Don't try to max out. Only go up 10%. If you're week 3 and you feel like going up 10%, well, maybe that 10% is going to build into week 4, but don't go 20%. Don't go 30%. Don't try to really crank up and max out. Stay patient with this thing, and good things will happen. So that's my little thing on sets and reps. I hope that helped you guys out. Please, if you found this informative, click the share button and send this out to people that you know. I appreciate you guys being here. It's really cool to see you guys when people stick around, and I can't say how much I appreciate it. I hope this helps out. I hope this gives value to you guys. That's why I do this, to inspire the experience that you want to live. And health is the number one resource that you have for the life and experience that you want to have. So anyway, thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow.